My beloved child, before the very first light ever shone across the universe, before the stars were hung upon the endless heavens, your name had already resounded in the council of heaven. It was not a fleeting sound, nor a random coincidence. It was a declaration, a seal inscribed into the eternal design I wove for all of creation. You may think that your life began at the moment of your first cry on earth, but in truth you were known long before the ages. When I proclaimed, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you," Jeremiah 1:5. Those words were not spoken only for the prophets of old, but they reveal a sacred truth about you personally. Your name did not come to me as a blank page waiting to be written upon, but as a song that had long echoed through the corridors of eternity. I did not see you merely at the small beginning of this earthly life, but within the vast current of my heavenly design. You are a link in the great chain, and without you the anthem of my kingdom would lose a vital note. Never believe that you exist as an anonymous number among billions of lives. Every life I have created carries a unique sound, yet your name was proclaimed again and again in the council of heaven. That is why 12 angels came together to present your name before my throne. They did not bring an empty word. They bore witness to the light you had already released even when you yourself were unaware of it. My child, what moved me to choose you was not the perfection you strive for, nor the achievements you labor to build. What made your name echo in heaven were the unseen seeds you planted in silence. I saw each moment you stood between selfishness and love, and you chose love even when no one was watching. I saw the times you accepted loss so that another might be lifted up. I saw the tears you shed in the dark when your heart was breaking but still whispered forgiveness. These things to you may seem so small as to be meaningless, but in heaven they shine brighter than any crown mankind could fashion. Your name has been inscribed in the book of life, not merely as a mark of identity, but as a vision. It is a reminder to the heavenly hosts that I have chosen you, that I have appointed you for a purpose no one else can replace. Consider this: if the universe is a vast painting, you are a line essential to its beauty. If creation is a grand symphony, you are an instrument with its own irreplaceable tone. Without you, the music would falter, the painting would remain unfinished. You often think yourself too small to make any difference, but I declare that it is precisely your smallness that demonstrates my power. I do not always choose the towering mountains to declare my voice. Many times I have chosen a gentle breeze, a faint lamp flame, to show the world that light will never be overcome by darkness. My beloved, I know your heart is full of questions. You often ask, why me? What makes me worthy to be chosen? I want you to understand, this being chosen is not based on human reasoning, but on my eternal vision. You see weakness, but I see potential. You see cracks, but I see the very places where light can pour in. You see failure, but I see the opportunity to turn brokenness into testimony of restoration. This is why your name resounds in heaven, not because you were enough, but because I am the one who makes you enough. When the angels came before my throne, they did not arrive with drums thundering or trumpets blaring, but with reverence. They testified, "This one has reflected your light in a darkened world. This one has sown love where there was hatred, opened their heart where others closed theirs." I smiled, for I already knew these things. Yet I desired the heavenly council to witness it so that no one could deny you are chosen. And from that moment forward, your name was no longer just the name of a mortal. It became a declaration: you are my vessel. My child, listen closely to this. Your name was not chosen to be kept hidden in safety, but to resound as a call that awakens slumbering souls. I have placed within you a fire that the winds of this world cannot extinguish. Even when that fire seems reduced to mere ashes, I will breathe my life into it and cause it to blaze again. Therefore, never despise your own presence. Do not think that weariness or wounds have stripped you of worth. On the contrary, they are the very marks that make your name shine all the more brightly in my sight. You often compare yourself to others and see only your lack, your inadequacy. But I do not measure you by the standards of the world. The world measures by success, by power, by outward talent. I measure by love. And the love within you, even when it seems as small as a mustard seed, is enough to stir the hosts of heaven. Do you remember when I declared, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Matthew 17:20. I say the same of the love within you, even the smallest seed of it can awaken an entire generation. So, my child, stop wondering why you were chosen. Stop questioning your value. Instead, rest in the truth that I myself have called your name, engraved it upon the palms of my hands. And once I have engraved your name, no one, no power, no darkness can erase it. You do not need to prove to the world that you are worthy. You need only believe in me, the one who deemed you worthy before time began. From now on, you will not walk as one lost and searching for value, but as one affirmed and sealed by heaven itself. Your name has been spoken, and its echo will not fade. It will carry you through seasons of trial, lift you in moments of failure, and remind you that you are never alone. You belong to me, and I have appointed for you a path. You may not yet see it in full, but remember that you are walking within a design far greater than yourself. And that design began the moment your name was proclaimed in the realm of the divine, a beginning. No one can erase a truth that will endure forever. My beloved, in the boundless realm where I dwell, no two stars shine alike, just as no two souls reflect the same hue of light. I did not create you as a copy, but as an original masterpiece bearing strokes and contours that belong to no one else. You may have compared yourself to this person, admired that person, and at times condemned yourself for not being enough. But I declare to you, that which makes you different is the very proof that you were formed by my skillful hand, not by chance. Every line in your palm, every beat of your heart, every scar in your soul contributes to the symphony only you can sing in this life. The light I have placed in you is not easily seen with natural eyes. It is not like the glittering brilliance the world chases, nor a fleeting radiance meant to impress. It is more like embers hidden beneath ash, awaiting only the breath of my spirit to ignite into a holy flame. Do you know why at times you feel unsettled in the midst of a crowd? It is because within you dwells a different light, one that cannot fully blend into surrounding darkness. Others may compromise with what is wrong with ease, but within you a voice of warning resounds. Others may run joyfully after vanity, but your heart still yearns for what is true. This is proof that within your soul lies a fragment of heaven, a frequency that resonates only with the sound of eternity. My child, I have woven into you threads that no one else carries. They form a garment of calling tailored uniquely for you. You have a patience that many lack. You possess a sensitivity that notices the small yet vital details. You carry a heart that feels compassion even when you yourself are wounded. The world may label these as weaknesses, but heaven calls them rare jewels. For it is through your compassion that you become a river, bringing refreshment to weary souls. Through your patience you become solid ground upon which others may stand. Through your keen discernment, you perceive divine opportunities that many overlook. Do not think that your light must blaze like the sun in order to have worth. There are small stars, scarcely visible to the eye, yet they chart the course for voyages across vast oceans. In the same way, your light may not dazzle the world, but it is enough to guide souls lost in darkness. You were created to shine where the sun cannot reach, to illuminate the alleys that others have forgotten. Because of this, heaven treasures you as one guards a lamp filled with oil, for in shadowed places that lamp becomes the very source of life. Often you fail to see your own uniqueness because you view yourself through the distorted mirror of the world. People measure worth by success, beauty, talent, or wealth. But I look at you through the heart. When you love, your light expands. When you forgive, it blazes forth. When you remain faithful in the small things, that light becomes a flame no storm can extinguish. This is why heaven notices you. The light you carry is not borrowed, but the very light I planted within you from the beginning, awaiting the day it would shine in full. You may have heard many times that you are special. But let me deepen that truth. Your uniqueness is not meant for pride, nor to set you apart in isolation, but to make you an irreplaceable piece in the great mosaic I am completing. Without you, the picture is incomplete. Without your note, the song lacks harmony. Should you deny the light within you, darkness will take its place, and souls meant to be guided will remain adrift. Therefore, embrace your value not in arrogance, but in gratitude. For the grace I have placed on you is proof that I trust you enough to share in my eternal work. My child, when the angels look at you, they do not see an ordinary being. They see a mark that I myself engraved. They see a color no one else in the universe can replicate. They see the stream of love, faithfulness, and hope I have sown, and they rejoice knowing that stream will flow into many other lives. Do not belittle yourself by comparing to those who glitter more loudly in the world's eyes. Your light may be quiet, but it endures. It may be gentle, but it penetrates deeply. It does not blind others, but it heals eyes long wounded by the dark. Remember this: no one else can carry the light you carry. No one can fulfill your part in this grand symphony. Even if you turn away, I will still call your name, for only you can reflect that shade of my glory. If you choose to hide your light, the world will lose a reflection of me. But if you step forward and let it shine, you will become the answer to prayers from people you have never met. You will become the spark in the night someone longs to see, so they may know they are not forsaken. Therefore, my child, see yourself with my eyes rather than through the world's mirror. See your uniqueness not as a burden that sets you apart, but as a gift that makes you truly yourself. See your light not as something fragile about to fade, but as an eternal flame awaiting its full blaze. Remember, in the council of heaven, your name is spoken not because you resemble another, but because you are. You a singular creation, loved by me, appointed by me, and prepared for a mission that no one else can bear. My beloved child, do you know how profound it is when 12 angels together carry your name before my throne? It is not a spontaneous ritual, nor is it a mere symbolic gesture. It is a declaration that your life has resonated all the way into the heavenly realm. The things you have done in silence have stirred the unseen world. When you thought no one saw your tears, the angels caught each drop as though it were a precious jewel and presented it before me. When you believed no one noticed the kindness you extended to a stranger, the angels recorded it and brought it forth as a song of praise. And when you endured pain, yet still chose to love, the angels received it as incense rising directly to my throne. The 12 angels do not simply represent a crowd. They embody fullness. 12 is the number that symbolizes completeness in my plan. The 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 apostles, the 12 gates of the New Jerusalem. When 12 angels together lift up your name, it signifies that your name is not acknowledged by just a few witnesses, but by the whole. It is a confirmation that cannot be disputed. They have stood before my throne and with one voice declared, "This one belongs to you. This one carries your light. This one has been chosen for an irreplaceable mission." My child, this event is not meant to make you proud, but to remind you that your life echoes far beyond what the natural eye can see. When you act in quiet faithfulness, heaven trembles with joy. When you remain steadfast in what seems small, the council of angels rejoices. Your name is carried upward not because you are flawless, but because you reflect my very nature. In the midst of ordinary life, the angels have witnessed it, and they cannot remain silent. They must testify because the light you carry is a language heaven understands more clearly than any spoken word. You often think yourself too insignificant to be remembered. But my child, heaven does not record what mankind calls brilliance. I do not count the times you are applauded, but I remember every time you chose to serve quietly. I do not measure the weight of your silver and gold, but I count every drop of love you have poured out. I do not esteem the crowns of this world, but I treasure every small act done with a pure heart. That is why the angels have carried your name, not to inform me, for I already know, but so that all of heaven may hear, may see, and may bear witness that the light within you cannot be hidden. Those 12 angels are not merely messengers, they are witnesses. They affirm that when darkness tried to cover you, you still chose to hold on to the light. They proclaim that when fear sought to restrain you, you took another step forward in faith. They testify that when the world pressed you to compromise, you chose truth instead, and for these reasons your name resounds in heaven like a sacred melody. No enemy can refute it, no accusation can erase it, because the angels themselves have presented it before the eternal council. My child, understand this. Your name being carried into heaven means you have been placed within a covenant that cannot be broken. That covenant not only guarantees my presence in your life, but also assures you will never fight alone. The very angels who have borne your name before me are the same who will guard you and watch over you in the days ahead. When you walk into fields of storm, they will surround you like a wall of fire. When you face danger, they will cover you as wings shelter the fragile. And when you are so weary that you have no prayer left to offer, they themselves will pray on your behalf, lifting up songs of praise before my throne. You often ask, why is it necessary for angels to carry my name? Do you not already know everything? I want you to understand that this event is not because I lack information, but because I want the entire universe to acknowledge this truth. You are the one who has been chosen. It is a public declaration, a resounding affirmation in the heavenly realms, so that every power will know that you do not belong to darkness, but to me. The angels present your name so that the enemy will tremble, so that it will know you are not alone, but that behind you stands a mighty host of heaven's armies. Therefore, do not take that moment lightly. It is not merely a sacred ritual, but a turning point in your journey. Your name inscribed in heaven is the guarantee that every battle you are about to face has already been accounted for within my glorious plan. It is the reminder that with every step you take, countless angelic hosts walk beside you. It is the seal that the prayers you whisper in the night do not fall into nothingness, but rise as a song before my throne, carried by the angels as a fragrant offering. My child, be grateful for this grace. Not everyone has their name spoken forth by 12 angels. This does not make you greater than others, but it is proof that you have been chosen to carry a portion of the work I am unfolding. This is not an honor to boast in, but a responsibility to remain faithful. This is not a seal that allows you to rest, but a calling that compels you to move forward. And when you grasp this truth, you will cease comparing yourself, cease doubting, and cease questioning. You will come to know that your very existence on this earth holds immeasurable worth in my sight and within the eternal design. So then, my beloved, lift your head high, not in arrogance, but in gratitude. Walk forward without fear, knowing your name has been offered as a pleasing sacrifice to me. Live without doubt, knowing the light you carry has been validated before all of heaven. And never forget this: if heaven itself has united to affirm you, no force on earth or in the shadows can ever deny your worth. My beloved child, today I desire to open your eyes to see the profound difference between two ways of life, one that revolves solely around yourself and one that is woven into the divine purpose I have ordained. You may think that living for yourself is the safest way, for it allows you to control, to calculate, and to enjoy the things your eyes see and your ears hear. But look more closely. A life lived only for oneself is like a sealed jar, able to hold only a limited measure of water. Yet a life lived for my purpose is like a river flowing freely, never running dry. The jar can easily shatter when struck, but the river overcomes stones and carves out new paths. How many times have you felt empty, even after receiving what you longed for? That hollow space remained because your heart was not created merely to receive, but to become a channel of something greater. When you live only for yourself, your joy is as fleeting as fireworks flaring brightly for a moment before vanishing into darkness. But when you live for my purpose, your joy is like the sun rising anew each day, shining, warming, and sustaining life. This is the difference. One is a passing moment, the other an enduring eternity. And so let me speak plainly. A life lived only for oneself will ultimately lead to depletion. You will always search for more, always feel unsatisfied, always chase after something new, but never find fulfillment. The world will urge you pursue your personal dreams, accumulate for yourself, define your value by success. Yet when night falls and you are alone, you will realize those achievements cannot fill the sacred emptiness within your soul. That emptiness can only be filled when you walk in the purpose I have set before you. For I created you for an eternal intention, and anything less will always leave you wanting. Look at the seed. If it clings to itself, it will dry up, wither away, and produce nothing. But if the seed allows itself to be buried in the soil, it will break open, and from that breaking, new life will spring forth, bearing fruit 100-fold and more. To live only for oneself is to choose safety, but it also means refusing the chance to multiply and flourish. To live for my purpose is to accept the breaking of the seed, yet it is from that very breaking that life spreads and leaves an eternal mark. My child, do not fear the breaking, for when it is in, my hand's breaking is never the end. It is the beginning of a great harvest. You may think that divine purpose is something too distant, reserved only for prophets, pastors, or extraordinary people of power. But I say to you, it is not so. Divine purpose is not always found in grand and resounding deeds, but in the smallest acts of everyday life. When you forgive, instead of holding on to resentment, you are living out my purpose. When you open your heart to someone in need, you are carrying my light into the world. When you are faithful in small matters, you are sowing into eternal work. The difference lies in the motive. Living for yourself means seeking to keep, but living for me means seeking to give. And when you give, I guarantee you will never be left in lack. You often fear that to live for me means to lose. But my child, what you call loss, I call exchange. When you let go of something small, I give you something far greater. When you surrender personal gain, I open to you the doors of meaning. When you release control, you step into the realm of miracles. This is the truth. The world does not understand. Whoever seeks to save their life will lose it, but whoever is willing to lose it for my sake will find true life. To live for yourself is to stay caught in the endless cycle of holding on. To live for me is to journey in freedom, carried by love. My beloved, I know you long for happiness. I did not create you to live in forced striving or in shadows, but I want you to understand that lasting happiness does not come from satisfying the self, but from walking in your mission. When you live for yourself, happiness is as fragile as a bubble, easily shattered at the slightest touch. But when you live for my purpose, that joy becomes like a spring in the desert, flowing ceaselessly, even when the scorching winds blow. And when you taste it, you will never desire to return to the small and narrow confines of a life lived only for oneself. So, my child, I call you today, step out from the circle of personal safety into the wide expanse of divine meaning. Stop calculating what you will gain, and instead ask, Lord, what do you want to reveal through me? When you ask that question, you will see your life transformed. The ordinary will become sacred. Simple interactions will become opportunities to sow seeds into eternity, and your heart will no longer thirst after fleeting things, for it will have found the true treasure. My beloved, you often look at your weaknesses and see them as burdens, as chains that hold you back. You ask why I do not remove all your flaws, so that you might be strong, confident, and free of smallness. But my child, I want you to understand this. It is precisely in your weakness that my power is made perfect. If you were full in yourself, you would think you had no need of me. If you had no cracks, how could my light shine through? That is why I do not erase all your limits. I transform them into places where my strength is revealed. Think of a clay jar. When it has no cracks, the light inside remains hidden, but when it bears fractures, the light can shine outward. In the same way, your weaknesses are the very openings through which my glory is revealed. You see you're trembling in trials and think it makes you useless. But I see it as the opportunity for you to learn to lean on me rather than your own strength. You see your weariness as failure, but I see it as the moment when your heart opens to receive new strength. You see your falls as proof of helplessness, but I see them as lessons teaching you that rising again is not by willpower, but by grace. My child, I have never demanded that you be perfect before I can use you. I chose you not because of your strength, but because you need me. The world honors power, talent, and intellect, but I choose what is weak to shame the strong. I choose what is lowly to reveal my authority. When you see yourself as a fragile reed, I see the chance for the wind of my spirit to flow through you and create a melody. When you see yourself as a small candle in a storm, I see a flame capable of lighting up the darkness, because I am the one who guards that flame. You often hide your weaknesses for fear that others may see and mock you. But I declare to you, you do not need to hide from me, for I have known them long before you became aware of them yourself. Instead of concealing them, offer them to me. I do not reject your weakness. I transform it. I take timidity and turn it into courage. I take impatience and turn it into perseverance. I take wounds and transform them into oil of healing for others. Nothing within you is useless when placed in my hands. Even what you see as failure, I can turn into a foundation for victory. Even what you count as shame, I can turn into glory. My child, remember those I once called. Moses stammered, yet I used him to speak before kings. Gideon was timid, yet I made him lead his people to triumph. Paul carried a thorn in the flesh, yet he was the one who wrote, "My power is made perfect in weakness," 2 Corinthians 1:9. They all had weaknesses, but those weaknesses never hindered me. Instead, they became the very places where my grace was revealed. So it is with you. You are not disqualified, because you are not perfect. On the contrary, it is precisely your imperfection that gives me room to move. You often ask me to take away your weakness. Yet many times, I do not remove it. I transform its meaning. Like the thorn in Paul's flesh, it stands as a reminder that true strength does not come from him, but from me. The limitations you carry are not meant to shame you, but to keep you humble, so you may always remember your need for me day by day, hour by hour. Without these weaknesses, you might become proud and forget the source of every blessing. But when you recognize your lack, you will always come to me, and it is there that blessings overflow. Beloved child, weakness in your eyes may be pain, but in mine it is an invitation. It calls me to draw near, to give fresh strength, and to display my glory through your life. Do you see? When you are weak, I am closest to you. When you collapse, I carry you in my arms. When you have no strength left, I am your source of life. Weakness is not the end. It is the doorway into power. And when you step through that doorway, you will taste what the proud can never know, the sweetness of grace. From this day on, my child, do not look at weakness as the end of the story, but as the beginning of a journey of transformation. Offer every part of yourself, both your strength and your frailty, into my hands. Let me turn clumsiness into testimony, brokenness into song, frailty into weapon. Then you will understand that true strength is not the absence of weakness, but allowing me to step into it and work wonders. And when that happens, no one will be able to boast that success came by human effort, for all will see that only I, the Lord your God, could have done it. My beloved, when I call your name, I do not think only of you, but also of those who will be touched through your life. You were not chosen merely to keep blessings for yourself, but to become a stream that flows out, quenching the thirst of souls longing for life. The influence of a chosen one is not measured by the number of great deeds accomplished, but by the quiet transformation they bring to those around them. You may think your life is small, too insignificant to make a difference, but I declare even a single ray of light is enough to scatter a whole expanse of darkness. and you are that ray of light for many lives you do not yet know. When you speak a word of encouragement, you may not see anything change at once, but I see a seed of hope falling into the heart of the listener. When you reach out to help someone who has collapsed, you may not realize that they had been crying out in despair for a sign that I am still near. When you sit with the lonely and listen in silence, you may not know that angels record that moment as an act of healing. You think it is something small, but to that person it may be the rope that pulls them out of the pit. And to me, it is the embodiment of my love for humanity revealed through you. Child, the chosen are not always those with titles or exalted positions. More often they are hidden among the crowd, but the light they carry cannot be concealed. You may never stand on a stage, but when you walk into a room where someone is hurting, your presence brings peace. You may never lead a nation, but you can lead a child back to faith. You may never write books, but you can write stories of restoration in the hearts of those you meet. That is your influence, not loud but deep, not fleeting but enduring. My child, remember this: I have not called you to do everything, but I have called you to do your part, and that part will join with the work of many others to form a network of healing for the whole community. Just as a body has many members, you cannot be everything, but you are an irreplaceable part. When you are faithful in what is entrusted to you, life will flow out of you to sustain and uplift others. And then the entire community will be raised up, an entire generation will be touched. This is the secret of influence. It does not end with you. It spreads from one to another, from generation to generation. Beloved one, I know there are times you feel weak and ask yourself, what do I have to give? But you do not need to give what you do not have. You only need to share what you have received from me. You have received love, give love. You have received forgiveness, extend forgiveness. You have received hope, sow hope. When you pour out what I have already placed within you, you will never run dry, for the stream that flows from me is inexhaustible. The world teaches that to give is to lose, but I declare that to give is to multiply. When you bring your small loaf, I break it and feed thousands. When you offer your little time, I turn it into a harvest of souls. When you surrender your tears, I transform them into a river of healing for many others. Look back at the times you thought you had failed. It was in those very failures that I turned them into powerful testimonies. Others will find hope when they see you rise after falling. Others will find faith when they hear the story of how you walked through the darkness. Others will find courage when they witness you continue on despite your wounds. You may not realize it, but the very scars you carry become a language that the broken can understand. They see themselves in you, and through that they believe that I can do the same for them. My child, the light you carry is not only for yourself, but for all those who stumble in the night. Like a lamp set on high, it does not shine only for the one who holds it, but for the whole company walking behind. Do not underestimate this influence. Every word you speak, every action you take, every choice you make can become a beam of light guiding others closer to me. And when you live with the awareness that you are chosen to bear this light, you will no longer live carelessly. You will see that each day, each moment, each encounter holds eternal value. My beloved one, this is the reminder: your calling is not only for the individual, but for the community. As you walk in the divine purpose, you will become a bridge through which many find me. You will be the arm that embraces the outcast. You will be the voice that rises for the forgotten. You will be the witness of healing in a fractured world. And through all these things, my name will be glorified, for all will see that only I can bring true transformation within the human heart. Therefore, my child, do not limit the reach of your influence with narrow thoughts. Do not think of yourself as just one lost soul in a sea of people. In my plan, you are a lighthouse. And a lighthouse, though standing alone on an empty shore, can save countless ships from sinking. You are placed where you are not by accident, but to shine precisely in that context. Even if the place where you stand seems ordinary, The light within you may be the difference between life and death for someone. Beloved of mine, I see the burdens you carry that no one else knows. Behind the smile you give the world, I see your shoulders weighed down. Behind the words "I'm fine" that you tell others, I see your heart bleeding. You have thought you must be strong so that no one will see your weakness, but I tell you that you do not need to pretend before me. I see the battles in your mind, the nights you lie awake, the moments you sit alone and tears fall silently. Not one drop is forgotten, not one sigh is overlooked. I gather them all and keep them as precious gems in my vessel. For to me, your tears are not a sign of failure, but a silent prayer. Understand this, I do not delight in your pain, but I treasure the honesty of your tears far more than forced laughter. I know that in suffering you reveal your truest self, unhidden, unadorned. And it is precisely in those moments when you are at your weakest that I am closest to you. I do not turn away nor distance myself, but I sit beside you, listening to the cry of your heart even when no words are spoken. The muffled sobs you think no one hears are clearer to me than the lengthiest prayers. My child, I want you to know that your weariness does not diminish your worth in my eyes. The world only honors those who are always strong, always victorious, always shining, but I honor even those who drag their weary feet yet do not give up. I see the mornings when you rise, though discouraged, the times you keep on loving, though you feel empty, the moments you forgive, though the wound still stings. These very acts move heaven itself. For true strength is not never being tired, but pressing on even when tired. And I declare your faltering steps hold as much value as another's firm stride, for you walk by faith. You often hide your pain because you think no one understands, but I do. I understand every tormenting worry, every memory that haunts you, every word that pierced your heart. You need not explain to me, for I was there when it happened. I witnessed it, and I remember not to condemn, but to bring healing at the appointed time. When you feel abandoned, I am still present. When you feel unseen, I whisper, "You belong to me. You are not invisible." Do you think heaven is too far away to notice such small things? No, it is those very things you consider insignificant that move my heart more deeply than the grandest offerings. My beloved, never belittle your tears. They do not make you weak. They prove your heart still loves, still feels. The unfeeling do not weep. But you have loved enough to be hurt, hoped enough to be disappointed, and that is what makes you precious. I have promised those who sow in tears will reap with songs of joy. Psalm 1265. That promise is for you. Every tear today will water tomorrow's field. Every sob now will turn into a melody of praise. Do not think tears mean loss. They are seeds planted in holy soil, waiting to spring up into joy. Child, I want you to know that the burden you carry is not meant to crush you, but to shape you. Like gold in the fire, your soul is being refined. The weariness you feel is not a sign of defeat, but evidence that you are still fighting. And I declare every silent battle you endure is recorded in heaven's chronicles. Not a drop of sweat is wasted, not a breath forgotten. You will see that every tear shed leads to the day I wipe them from your eyes, and then you will understand why I allowed such things. You often think your worth lies in showing strength before others. But I say your worth lies in letting me be strong within you. You were never meant to carry the whole world on your shoulders, for I bore it on the cross for you. You only need to lay your burden at my feet. I do not ask you to bear what exceeds your strength. I invite you to let me bear it with you. When you are weary, draw near to me, for I am your rest. When you are heavy laden, hand it to me, for my burden is light. You are not destined to live as a lone warrior. You were created to walk with me, to know there is a place where you can rest your head and be at peace. So, my beloved, stop condemning yourself for crying, for growing tired, for wanting to give up. I see it all, and I do not reproach you. I only want you to learn one thing. Your tears do not push you away from me. They draw you closer. Your weariness does not render you useless. It teaches you to lean on me. And the hidden burdens you carry will one day stand as testimony to my faithfulness. One day when you tell your story, others will be healed, for they will see that in your tears and fatigue, I was building a new strength. My beloved child, perhaps you have often asked yourself, why does suffering come to me? If you love me, why do you not keep me from the fiery furnace of life? My child, suffering is not proof that I have abandoned you. On the contrary, it is evidence that I am refining you. The furnace was never created to destroy gold, but to separate it from its impurities. In the same way, suffering does not come to kill your soul, but to dissolve what does not belong to you, so that the purity I have placed within you may shine forth. Do not confuse the fire of destruction with the fire of refinement. The flame I allow in your life is a redeeming flame, not one of ruin. Look at raw gold. When it is first taken from the earth, it is covered with dirt and stone, unworthy of anyone's admiration. Yet when placed in fire, the worthless elements are consumed, leaving behind only its precious essence. So it is with you, my child. When you walk through the fire of suffering, I am removing pride, doubt, binding habits, and hidden wounds. I do not do this to cause you pain, but to set you free. Without fire, gold remains buried in the dust. Without suffering, you would never realize the brilliance I planted within you. Fire reveals who you are, and it is within suffering that your old self begins to die, so that the new person may rise. You often plead with me, please do not let me suffer any longer. But my child, remember that suffering is never meaningless. It is a harsh yet truthful teacher. It teaches you what comfort cannot. In days of peace you easily forget me, but in suffering you come to me with your truest heart. In times of prosperity you believe you control everything, but in the storm you discover that only I am your refuge. Suffering opens your eyes to distinguish between what is fleeting and what is eternal. It forces you to discern, to let go of what you once clung to, until only what truly endures remains. My love for you. My child, remember that no one is formed through ease. Pearls exist only because the oyster endured the pain of a grain of sand within it. Diamonds come forth only when coal has withstood crushing pressure in the darkness. Trees grow deep roots only by resisting fierce winds. And you grow into maturity only when you learn to stand firm in the furnace. Suffering does not strip away your worth. It engraves it deeper. It teaches you compassion for the pain of others. It teaches you to cherish small joys. It compels you to live with mindfulness instead of carelessness. Suffering is not your enemy. It is my tool to bring forth the clarity that easy days could never provide. You often think that fire makes you lose, but the truth is that fire only consumes what was never truly yours. It burns away chains, breaks shackles, and destroys the lies you once believed. And when the flames subside, you step out freer, purer, and stronger. Like Daniel's 3 friends of old in the fiery furnace, the fire did not burn them, but it consumed the ropes that bound them. When you are in the fire, I do not stand afar and watch. I enter into it with you. You are never alone in the furnace of trial. The very flame you fear is the one that shapes you to become more like me. My child, the insight you long for does not come from books or worldly knowledge, but from walking through seasons of sorrow. Each loss teaches you what is truly priceless. Each fall reveals your limits and the necessity of grace. Each tear shows that your heart is still tender, still capable of love. All of this makes you truly wise, not in the sense of mere intelligence, but in depth of spirit. You begin to see life with spiritual eyes, perceiving what lies beyond the surface, discerning what others overlook. Such wisdom is a gift only the furnace can give. My beloved, I know you never desire suffering, but I want you to learn to trust that I turn it into good. When you look back, you will see that seasons of pain were the very turning points that led you into maturity. You will see that your tears opened the door to new joy. You will see that the fires refined you into a bearer of clearer light. And then you will give thanks not because you enjoyed the suffering, but because you realize it drew you nearer to me and shaped you into the person I destined you to become. So then, my beloved child, cease blaming the fire and see it instead as a journey of transformation. Believe that when you enter it, you will not emerge the same. Let suffering teach you, not destroy you. Let it open your eyes, not blind you. And remember this, the refining furnace does not last forever. It endures only until the gold shines, until you reflect my image more clearly. When that moment comes, I will bring you out of the fire, and you will know that the clarity you gained did not come from books or human reasoning, but from being refined in my hands. My beloved, I know there are moments in your life when it feels as though everything has collapsed. Dreams you once cherished shattered in your grasp. Relationships you trusted fractured beyond repair. Efforts you poured yourself into washed away like sand beneath the tide. You look at yourself and see brokenness like a vessel shattered and deemed worthless. In silence you wonder, perhaps he is finished with me. Perhaps he cannot possibly use someone so damaged. But hear me clearly, child, brokenness is never the end in my hands. It is only the beginning of a restoration journey that only I can perform. Look at the tree broken by the storm. People may cut it down, but nature itself causes its roots to sprout new shoots. The break becomes the place where new life emerges stronger than before. So it is with you. Your wounds are not the ending, but the fertile ground for new life to rise. Brokenness makes you aware of your limits, and it is in that moment you open the door for my power to enter. I do not despise the fragments. I gather each one and bind them with the gold of grace. And when the vessel is complete, it is no longer what it once was, but a masterpiece carrying my imprint, more beautiful, brighter, and infinitely more precious. You often ask, why did you not prevent me from breaking in the first place? Because, my child, there are lessons that can only be learned among the ashes. You cannot fully know the depth of forgiveness until you have truly fallen. You cannot grasp the meaning of healing until you have endured wounds. You cannot comprehend perseverance until you have risen from failure. Brokenness teaches what success never could. And while the world calls weakness shame, I declare that weakness is the very place where my power is made perfect. When you come to the end of your strength, then I begin to show mine. When you release your grip, I am free to lift you up. When you are powerless, I am able to work wonders. My beloved, the restoration I give is never a mere patching of cracks. It is recreation. It does not return you to what was, but leads you to something better, deeper, stronger. Like the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is mended with gold, making it more valuable than before, I do the same in your life. Your scars are not hidden away, but become golden seams of glory, testifying to grace. When others look at you, they do not see ruin. They see my fingerprints upon your story. And that is what turns your life into a testimony that touches hearts. Child, when you are restored, it is not only for yourself, but to become a source of hope for others. Those who are broken will find comfort when they hear how you were lifted up. Those in despair will find faith when they see you still walking, even with scars. Your wounds become the key that opens doors for bound souls. For it is in weakness that you learn compassion in experience, that you gain the ability to heal, and in restoration, that you become living proof of my unfailing love. Remember this. My child, restoration is not about going back, but moving forward. You need not mourn the past or wish, if only things could be as they once were. I never return you to the old. I lead you into the new. What you lost may be precious, but what I place before you is greater still. Brokenness may take something from you, but restoration returns it multiplied. Do not fear when you find yourself changed. Do not think transformation makes you less valuable. On the contrary, change is proof that I am at work within you, leading you into maturity that could never be reached if everything had always remained easy. My beloved child, look to the cross. It is the greatest symbol of brokenness, the body of my only son torn apart, his blood poured out. And yet it is also the very source of restoration for all humanity. Without the utter depth of weakness, there would have been no glorious resurrection. So it is with you in your own brokenness. You may think everything has come to an end. But I declare to you, it is only the pause before the song of resurrection. One day you will look back and realize that those very fractures became the foundation of new strength. And in that moment you will sing with unshakable faith, I am weak, but he is strong. My precious one, I know how often you come to the edge of your own limits and tremble with fear. You see your power fail, your wisdom prove inadequate, your strength run dry. You long to control, yet reality slips through your fingers. You wrestle with the questions, what should I do next? Can I really go any further? You fear stepping into the unknown, for there you cannot lean on experience, plans, or certainty. But hear me, limitation is not failure. It is the doorway into the land of miracles. Limitations do not prove you are unworthy. They prove you are human. And it is precisely at the edge of your limits that you learn to lean on me, the one who is never limited. Think of the ocean. From the shore you can observe, analyze, and convince yourself you understand it. But only when you step off the sand and out upon the water do you realize its unfathomable depths, its fierce power, its vastness beyond comprehension. So it is with life. You cannot truly know me while standing on the shore of safety. You must dare to step into the unknown where your feet no longer touch the ground, so that you may discover that I am the one who holds you up. Your limits are not meant to stop you, but to remind you that it is time to cease relying on yourself and begin walking by faith. My beloved, I do not desire you to live a life shackled by fear of the unknown. If you only choose what is familiar, you will remain trapped in the same cycles. Growth does not dwell in comfort, but in the leap of faith. You may think you are safe when you control everything, but in truth that very control wearies you, for you are trying to carry what was never yours to bear. When you let go, you do not lose, you make room for me to act. You think you will fall into emptiness, but in reality, you fall into my arms, the arms of the one who knows precisely where you will land and who has already prepared solid ground for you. Child, your limits are not meant to shame you, but to teach you to trust. When you confess I cannot, it is then that I answer I can. When you say I do not know the way, it is then that I declare I am the way. When you sigh I am too weary, it is then that I lift you up and breathe new strength into you. Where you see a boundary, I see a beginning. Where you see a dead end, I see a turning point. Where you see nothingness, I see a promised land. That is why I lead you to your limits, not to abandon you, but to show you that I am greater than all. You often ask, why do you not reveal everything to me from the start? Why do you let me walk into places I do not understand? My child, if I told you everything, you would have no need for faith. If you saw the entire road, you would no longer lean on me. I allow you to walk through stretches of darkness, not to make things hard, but so that your eyes may adjust to my light instead of artificial light. I place you in the unknown, not to terrify you, but to teach you to hear my voice in the silence. It is in the shadows that you learn to recognize my nearness. And it is in the uncharted places that I sow into you the clarity that those on the easy road will never possess. My beloved child, do not be afraid to step out of your comfort zone. The unknown is not the territory of chaos, but the stage where miracles take place. Abraham stepped into the unknown when he left his homeland, and he became the father of many nations. Moses stepped into the unknown when he stood before the Red Sea, and the waters parted. Peter stepped into the unknown when he set his feet upon the water, and he experienced walking on the waves. In the same way, you will see my hand when you dare to walk into the place where reason says it is impossible. For I am not bound by logic, but I bring forth what surpasses human understanding. My child, remember this: your limits do not diminish you. They remind you that you need the one who is limitless. The unknown is not meant to frighten you, but to mature you. I do not lead you there to see you fail, but to help you discover the potential I placed within you that even you have not yet seen. When you accept to move forward without yet seeing the path, that is when your faith begins to grow. When you choose to release your own plans to follow my guidance, that is when you begin to live in your true purpose. And when you step into the unknown with my hand holding yours, you will discover that the unknown is no longer an abyss, but a vast field waiting for you to explore. Therefore, my beloved child, do not fear when you reach your limits. Do not panic when a thick fog lies before you. See it instead as my invitation. Come closer. Trust me more. Let me lead you. For where you see an ending, I see a beginning. Where you see darkness, I am preparing the dawn. Where you see helplessness, I am ready to reveal my strength. And as you walk forward, you will realize that the unknown is no longer a place of terror, but a land of encounter where you will know me more deeply, and where the light within you will shine brighter than ever before. My beloved child, there is a darkness not outside, but within your own heart. It does not take the form of night or storm, but it is the hidden fear, the questions that repeat themselves, the doubts that slip into your mind. You may hide it from others, but I see every shadowed corner. Often you think your greatest enemy lies out there, yet in truth it whispers within your own soul. The darkness outside can only disturb, but the darkness within can truly shake you. That is why I want you to learn how to face your inner darkness, not to let it consume you, but to discern truth from falsehood, light from shadow, and to walk in the light. You often think fear is an enemy that cannot be defeated. But my child, fear is not proof that you lack faith. It is the opportunity for faith to be revealed. When you tremble, you can choose to run away, or you can choose to face it and take hold of my hand. Fear whispers, you will fail, you will be abandoned, you will never be enough. But I declare, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. Isaiah 4:110. The difference does not lie in whether you hear fear's voice, but in which voice you choose to believe, the whisper of fear from the enemy or the voice of my love. So it is with doubt. It knocks at the door of your mind when promises are unfulfilled, when miracles have not yet come, when waiting grows long. You ask, is it real? Do you truly remember me? My child, I do not condemn you for the question. I understand that your heart longs for certainty, but I want you to learn this doubt is not a place for you to remain, but only a crossroads where you must choose faith. If you stay in doubt, it becomes a prison, but if you use it as a stepping stone to seek me, it will become the platform on which your faith matures. I am not afraid of your questions as long as you bring them to me instead of burying them in silence. My child, the enemy knows how to exploit fear and doubt to weave illusions. It cloaks falsehood in shadow so that it appears true, seeking to lead you astray. It mimics my voice to plant words of condemnation. It uses familiar faces to conceal its schemes. If you rely only on emotion, you will easily be deceived. That is why I want you to learn the art of discernment. Discernment is not guessing. It is listening to the Spirit. Truth and falsehood may appear alike on the outside, but they cannot share the same source. Truth brings peace. Falsehood brings confusion. Truth sets you free. Falsehood binds you. Truth builds. Falsehood destroys. Ask yourself, does this draw me nearer to God? Does it reflect His love? If the answer is no, then no matter how sweet it sounds, it is nothing more than a snare. My beloved child, I do not want you to live in constant doubt. I want you to have clear eyes to discern which voice is mine and which belongs to the enemy. My voice is gentle yet firm, encouraging but never indulgent, comforting yet also corrective. The enemy's voice is hurried, pressing, filled with fear, and always leaving you feeling condemned. Remember this, I never speak to you in the language of accusation. I correct you in order to restore you, while the enemy accuses you to make you feel worthless. This is the key to discernment. Any word that leads to life comes from me. Any word that leads to death comes from Him. You often ask yourself, how can I be sure I will not lose my way? My child, learn to bring everything into the light. Darkness only has power when it remains hidden. Once you bring your fears, doubts, and struggles before me, they lose their grip. Ask for my light to shine into every hidden corner of your heart. Do not run from your inner shadows. Allow the light to permeate them. When light comes, darkness dissolves. You will then realize that what you thought was an abyss was only a shadow. What you thought was a prison was nothing but an illusion. It is discernment in the light that sets you free. My child, trust that the spiritual journey is not always straightforward. There will be times when you walk through valleys of deep darkness. Yet even there I am your shepherd. My rod and my staff guide you, protect you, and keep your feet from stumbling. You need not fear the darkness, for I am the light. And if I dwell within you, darkness cannot prevail. Remember, fear and doubt are not the end of the road, but a part of the journey, where your eyes are trained to see truth more clearly. Therefore, beloved child, when inner darkness rises, do not flee. Pause, listen, and discern. Do not let the voice of fear drown out the voice of love. Do not allow doubt to swallow hope. Walk in the light, and you will discover that darkness is merely an opportunity for light to reveal its power. You are not alone in this battle. I am within you, I am leading you, and I am teaching you to distinguish truth from deception, so you may stand firm in a world full of noise. And when you learn this, you will become a lamp not only shining for yourself, but also for others who are wandering in the dark. My beloved, if you only walked on paths lined with roses, you would never know how strong your steps truly are. But when you walk through the storm, you will feel my hand holding yours tighter than ever before. Adversity is not a sign of abandonment, but an invitation to experience my presence in the most profound way. You see the winds rise, yet I am the one who commands them to be still. You see the waves crash against the boat, yet I am the one who walks upon the sea. You see the night surround you, yet I am the lamp that never goes out. True strength is not found in ease, for it is only revealed when you reach your limits, when you have spent all you have. And I declare, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Child, you think yourself weak, yet it is in that weakness that I work most powerfully. When you collapse, I lift you up. When you are weary, I renew your strength. When you have no words left to pray, my spirit intercedes for you with groanings beyond expression. You see yourself trembling, but I see you as courageous, because you still move forward even when fear lingers in your heart. You see yourself fragile, but I see you as strong because you place that fragility in my hands. Do not despise your weakness, for it is the very place where I write my miracles. Adversity makes the darkness feel overwhelming. But remember, darkness cannot extinguish light. It only makes light shine brighter. Look at the oil lamp. It may seem ordinary by day, but at night it becomes a lifesaver. In the same way, the light within you may seem unnoticed in peaceful times, but when the night falls, it becomes a beacon for others. You are not created merely to survive hardship, but to be a testimony that light triumphs over darkness. Others will look at the way you walk through trials and find hope for themselves. My beloved child, I do not promise that you will never face hardships, but I promise that adversity will not have the final word. You may be shaken, but you will not be struck down. You may weep, but your tears will become seeds of joy. You may lose something, but that loss will open the door to something greater. Adversity does not come to destroy you, but to teach you to walk with your eyes fixed on me rather than on your circumstances. When you choose to trust me in the midst of trials, you are laying a foundation stronger than anything the world can offer, and that foundation will stand firm, no matter how fierce the storm may be. My child, the light is not given only for you to see your own path, but to shine for others as well. When you walk through the night, the light within you will guide those who are in despair. Some will see you standing firm in the storm and believe they can endure too. Some will see you singing in sorrow and realize that hope is not dead. Some will see you loving even in betrayal and understand that love is stronger than hate. You may not know it, but the very way you walk through adversity becomes a sermon more powerful than 1,000 spoken words. My beloved, I call you to walk forward not because you are already ready, but because I am walking with you. You do not need to see the entire road ahead. You only need to follow the light just before your feet. Like one walking through a dark forest with a small lamp, you cannot illuminate the whole journey, but you have enough light for the next step. I myself am that light. And as you take one small step at a time, you will see that you have gone farther than you ever thought. Do not stop because of the night, for your light shines brighter in the darkness. Do not wait for the storm to end before moving forward, for it is when you walk in the storm that you will see my hand at work. Therefore, my precious child, when adversity surrounds you, remember, you are not being consumed. You are being refined. When you are weak, do not be ashamed, for that is where my strength is revealed. When the night falls, do not fear, for that is the stage where your light shines most brightly. Walk not by the certainty of sight, but by the faith that I am with you. And you will see that adversity does not destroy you, it makes you stronger. Weakness does not make you useless. It makes you a living testimony of grace. Darkness does not conceal the light. It only makes the light within you blaze even brighter. May the word of the Lord continually remind you to live in His faith and His love each day. Be sure to follow and turn on the notification bell so that you do not miss the sacred and meaningful messages God longs to share with you. May the Lord bless you. Amen.